Hey race fans, Toby LaGrange here, and I would like to welcome everyone to the 2024 New York State Stock Car Association Hall of Fame induction ceremony here at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park. Today we will induct 4 new members into the NYSSCA Hall of Fame, including Jake Spraker, Tommy Spencer, Bill Nelson, and Erik Nelson. Now, to take you through the inductions, here's NYSSCA representative Ron Zerba.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ron Zerba here. The first inductee into the NYSSCA Hall of Fame today will be Jake Spraker. George Smith will do the induction.
I'm here to induct my friend Jake Spraker into the NYSSCA Hall of Fame. Just a little bit of history with Jake. Grew up a Kenny Shoemaker fan, which everybody will see when he comes up because he's got the shirt on today. Jake went on in 1982 to actually starting his racing career in a mini mod. As the 82 season ended and it turned into 83, Jake continued to run his mini mod, but halfway through the year, C.D. Koval found himself without a ride. At that point, Jake raffled off his mini mod and went out and bought a Troyer car from Bob Sitterly, and that started Jake in the modifieds with C.D. Koval. CD didn't stay with him that long. We got to the fall, and just before Eastern States, another opportunity came up, and CD decided to go off and drive for the Bob's Auto Parts team, which left Jake without a driver. And in reality, that may have saved Jake because, you know, here he is all these years later, still a car owner, and CD back in the day was known as the car owner Terminator. Jake went on at that point to team up with Ray Dalmata, and they started a very nice career that has lasted years for Jake. Special little things that happened with Jake along the way is Jake's Modified, which not everybody, unless you're old, will understand, is Jake's Modified was actually on the cover of Stock Car Racing magazine. Not a lot of people, know that or have seen that. Jake went on, won a lot of races with Ray, went on to Mike Romano, and at that point the team became very solid, and along the way Jake kind of grew, and the legend of Jake grew as a car owner. Jake and Mike teamed and basically won a pile of races, a couple track championships at Fonda, and away they went. After Mike, Jake sold his equipment to Tommy Spencer, and Jake kind of, hung around and dropped down a little bit to the sportsman class, where he won a pile of sportsman championships with Timmy Clemens. Jake also has won championships in the pro stocks with Stevie Welch. Jake went back to modifieds, and the drivers list of who drove for Jake over the years is a who's who. He's had all the Johnsons, Bobby Varon, Billy Pouch, Dave Lape, both Romanos, and the list goes on and on. Almost won the mile, if it wasn't for kind of a bad tire change. Jake went on and promoted, and was actually the promoter here at Glen Ridge for a while with Mike Romano. And the legend of Jake is that, fortunately, the only thing that saved them on Tony Stewart night was Jake brought his barbecuer with him, and the little bit of extra money that they made with the hamburgers and hot dogs that Jake fried up on the grill actually got them by, and they broke even on that night. At that point, I'd like to just kind of introduce my friend, Jake Spraker, and welcome to the Hall. Congratulations, buddy.
Just.
Okay. Give you your coat.
Nope.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like your hat on? Or
Sure.
yep. There you go. Hold it together. There you go.
Okay, next up will be Tommy Spencer, who I will be inducting, but unfortunately I'm not as good as George, so I got to read from my notes. Anyway, Tom Spencer caught the racing bug at age 12 when he used to go to the Fonda Speedway and watch the racing events from the Turn 1 bleacher section. He then raced go-karts for a while until buying out Tim Clemens' racing operation at the end of the 1984 season and putting Clemens in the car as his driver. Together they put together many wins and 3 straight sportsman track championships at Fonda in 1990 through 1992. Spencer added a modified to the stable in 1990 after buying out Jake Spraker's racing operation and placed Mike Romano in the car. Now Spencer had Rick Axett in what was called a street stock back then that was sponsored by Tommy's business Adirondack Leather, along with Clemens and Romano and Sportsman, the modified cars owned by Tommy. The result were Fonda Speedway track championships in 1990 by all 3 drivers in their respective divisions, a record that is still held by Spencer to this day. Tom raced again back in 1992, but only because of a bet, when he was trying to instruct Tim Clemens how to drive the car. Clemens told Tom to get in the car himself and drive it, which he did, driving his own backup car 6 times. Chad Edwards got the call as Spencer's driver in the Sportsman division in 2016, and the 2 won many races together along with the Fonda Speedway Sportsman Track Championship in 2018. Back in the 90s, I was in it with both hands and both feet, Tom said recently. At one time back then, I had 11 motors, 4 cars, and 3 trailers. I figured that I spent a total of $2 million on racing. Now I still feel good enough at age 79 to go to work every day and enjoy watching the races from home on Flow Racing. Please welcome Tom Spencer into the NYSSCA Hall of Fame.
I don't wear hats, but here it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got it?
Yep. Not that old yet. Back when I first started racing, Timmy Clemens drove for me, and I think the second week out, I named the program Phase 1 Racing, and about the second week out, Timmy hit the 4th turn wall. Well, by the time the dust settled, Jimmy Beach was a parts guy for Jag Johnson, had an estimate already made for me, what it cost before the dust settled. So I said, no, that's all right. We loaded down the trailer, and I went back to the trailer to see how much damage in the car, right? And of course, wise guy Jake, he had a big sign, a cardboard sign right across the car, phased out. That was me and Jake's one of our first experiences. But thank you very much, it's an honor.
Okay, next up will be Bill Nelson. Bill started going to the races with neighbors from his home in Tribes Hill, lying about his age in order to get into the pit area because he was only 13 years old and the age limit was 14. While he was in high school, Bill would hitchhike down Route 5 to get to the Fonda Speedway. When he got his driver's license, he started drag racing at Fonda. His first race in a stock car was at Lebanon Valley Speedway in 1967. When Fonda opened up a hobby division, Bill competed in a car bought from Jim Downing in Fort Hunter. He never thought that he would get the car together, but he did and raced it at Fonda. At the time, Bill said, they had race cars, I had field cars. When Dick Pennick flipped his car at Fonda and it landed on Bill's hobby stock, he decided to build a modified. At the time, Bill worked in a shop and pitted for Andy Romano, traveling all over with Andy wherever he raced. Andy took in stray dogs, and I was one of them, Bill joked. Bill has one feature win in his vintage number 85 coach at Fonda, but considered it an accomplishment to just make the field when he raced. Bill and his son Eric owned a race car that Eric drove at Glen Ridge, along with Willie Decker and Bobby Varon. Together, the 3 drivers have a total of 40 wins at the Ridge, along with 2 track championships there in 2013 and 2014, with Varon behind the wheel. We were always in the hunt for championships at Glen Ridge, Bill said. People ask me when I'm going to retire from racing for good, and I tell them when my age hits my car number. Please welcome Bill Nelson into the NYSSCA Hall of Fame.
Woo!
Thanks, Ron. Nice job. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm honored and humbled by this award. It's been a long time. I've been in this business since I was 14, like 65 years ago. Had a lot of good people alongside of me. And I'm going to read a couple quick notes. Yeah, if you would. Jim Downing from Fort Hunter. They called him Gentleman Jim. I bought a car from him for $15, a race car. Supposedly it was the 1954 New York State Championship car at Syracuse. Whether it was or not, I don't know. It was a car that my parents never thought we'd ever get running, never mind race. I want to say thank you to them. We used to have to unhook my mother's electric stove to plug in the welder. We had the cable out the window. I owe thanks to Andy Romano for taking a young guy under his wing, let me work on his car. I traveled all over when Andy was running the league, All-Star League. I gained great experience and friendship from them. Some of my friends are now deceased. Whit. Thank you to Tim Clemens. He's been mentioned an awful lot tonight. He had a hell of an influence on our racing career as well as Jake and Tom. I'm really appreciative for everything that Tim Clemens did. We've had good drivers. I had Bobby Varon, Jimmy Davis, Willie Decker, Demetrius Trillos, and Jack Lehner. I can't say enough about anyone, but I made hundreds of friends through racing, and I still carry that friendship through to today. We love the Ridge. We have a couple of track championships here with Bobby Varon. Kind of apropos that we're getting this award here tonight. This is a great facility. Between Fonda and Glen Ridge, had an awful lot of influence on my lifetime. So I want to thank NYSSCA and everybody that's associated with it for this award. Thank you.
Okay, one more inductee to go. That would be Bill's son, Erik Nelson. When Erik attended Morrisville College, majoring in auto tech, he wanted to go drag racing. He found a Vega-bodied car at Pat Madej's house in Amsterdam and wanted to buy it. That was until his father, Bill, talked him out of it. My dad said, "Why would you want to race all night long, going 3 seconds at a time?" Erik then found a Camaro street stock, bought the car, and raced it at Fonda. I went to look at the car and left a note on the door that I was interested, Erik said. The guy called me back and I told him that I was interested, so he said to come and pick it up. When I went to pick it up, the guy wasn't there again, so I left him another note and took the car. Erik stayed in the street stocks for 4 years until he was involved in a car accident the day before he was to leave on vacation to Florida, resulting in injuries to his neck after a dump truck rear-ended his car. I was miserable not being able to race, Erik said. So I bought a pro stock from Dave Bays and went back to Fonda with it. Nelson raced that car for 2 years until one day when Mike Romano called him and asked if he would be interested in getting behind the wheel of the Sam and Linda Smith owned number 72 Vermont. Erik accepted the ride and ran in the sportsman division at Albany, Saratoga and Devil's Bowl. Erik bought his first sportsman car on his own from Bobby Vetter, making payments to Bobby until the car was paid off. Mid-season 2002, Erik bought a Bicknell car from John Bellinger. Tim Clemens was my mentor, Erik said. We put the car together in Mike Burlow's shop in 3 days. At that point, Erik ran wherever he could, resulting in 1 modified victory at Afton, 8 modified victories at Glen Ridge, and 1 sportsman win at Fonda during his career. For a guy that wasn't supposed to get out of his own way, we ran pretty well, Erik said. Together as car owners, besides their victories at Glen Ridge, Bill and Erik Nelson, owners of Nelson Motorsports number 85, also have 3 career modified wins at Fonda, 1 with Demetrius Drelos and 2 with their current driver, Jack Maynard. Please welcome into the NYSSCA Hall of Fame, Erik Nelson.
He deserves it.
Thanks, Ron. Gotta put a curl on this thing. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to my dad. If it wasn't for him, none of this would be possible. It takes a lot of money to do what we do, and without his help and support and stand by me every step of the way, we wouldn't be able to do it without him. I gotta say a very special thank you to Tim Clemens, who was more than just a mentor to me. He took me in at a very young age, taught me what it was to be more than just a race car driver. I don't know where things would be without him, but that man was a very, very large influence in my life. So just a very special thank you to him. Walt Markert, rest in peace. Walt was a big influence in my life, more than one way. He made it very possible for us to race. But with that being said, you know, I've tried to make our modified careers. Jake Spraker was a huge influence on us, on me, as well as Tommy Spencer. If I could be a fraction of the car owners that they were, I would have had a successful career. This is my home, always will be. We have a lot of wins here. We had a lot of great friends here. Some good, some bad. Had great nights here. Some good, some bad. Never thought we would be in a position to win a modified track championship at Fonda Speedway. Fighting for that right now. We have an excellent driver, Jack Maynard. Goes above and beyond anything we could have ever expected. I'm not a man of many words, but there are more people than I can name that deserve recognition. And a big thank you goes out to all of them. That's it.
This has been a LaGrange Media production.